All right, that dumb American accent signals that we are on.
That we're good to go. So I guess yeah, if we have we kick off, mate.
Yep,
All right,
go
let's
for
get stuck in. So for everyone who's joining us now and tuning in later, first of all, welcome to the first and I hope many webinar series that we're hosting together with our friends over at Heidi. My name is Andy. This is Josh, and we're oh, there's Teddy. Put him
keep
in.
keep talking.
Put him in. I guess we're very, I guess, proud and privileged to be able to host the team from Heidi to talk about like the new upcoming wave of AI integrations in modern healthcare, just to make all of our lives just a hell of a lot easier, mate. So, without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Yov. He's been so generous with his time to actually give it up to be here with us today, to talk more about what Heidi has to offer. And with that being said, mate, I'm going to put myself on mute and I'm going to hand things over to you. Before I do that, though, if there are any questions, please, just to value Yo's time, I'd really appreciate if you could put that stuff into the chat so Josh and I can moderate it. We'll catch all of those questions, so that way, towards the end of this, we'll give you the opportunity to go ahead and answer any of those questions, so you can get the most out of this experience. But if everyone's all sitting well, all good to go, please stay on mute. If you want to keep your cameras on, that will also be great too, so we can see you and interact with you from there. But Yov, it's over to you, my friend. I'll leave it with you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Pleasure to be here, and yeah, super excited to meet you all, and of course, get stuck into the scary world of AI, which is not so scary anymore because it is sort of taking over the world, as I'm sure you guys know, but in healthcare in a very, very good way. And it's here to stay and grow and develop to support you guys as clinicians, and as clinic owners, if some of you are. Because really AI is here to just streamline efficiencies and support you guys to provide you the ability to provide a lot better care to your patients, but also hopefully see more patients as well, and support more individuals who need your care, which is, I guess, what you guys have trained for and what you're really good at. So I've got like a little slide deck. It's nothing formal. We'll just slowly sort of go through it, and then we're also we'll get into a bit of a obviously a mock consult as well, which will be cool to show you guys everything as well. You guys can all see that. Just give me a nod, please. Yeah, awesome, cool. So yeah, focus today is obviously just really giving you guys a really high level introduction into AI, Heidi, and what it's all about. Now, Heidi specifically, as you can see here, we've been born and bred in Melbourne. We're an Australian-based company, and we've been built by clinicians, right? And that's really important because it's obviously we know as clinicians, and me personally, I'm an osteo. Tom's obviously a doctor, who's a co-founder, and you can see everyone else who are doctors and also other clinicians in there. We really understand what clinicians are looking for and what they need to support them, right? And so we've built the product understanding that. And making sure that it's as specific and as relevant as possible so that clinicians like yourself will actually want to use it and can actually see the value of what it can provide you day to day. So, as I said, we are Melbourne born and bred. Obviously, now with a super exciting growth phase, though, we have been able to expand globally with offices in the UK and also in the US. But yeah, obviously, home is in Melbourne, which is where I am at the moment. Now, just a little quick agenda. Obviously, we'll just talk about scribes. What are they and what can they do for us? Some important considerations, which is always some hot topics around AI and particularly scribes in the healthcare space. As I mentioned, we're going to do a little demo as well of Heidi, a live mock consult, so you can see it in action. And then we'll open up the floor for any questions as well, so we can support you with that. Now, AI scribes, what can they do today? What they did last year compared to, I guess, what they can do now has been significant, and I can assure you what they can do now compared to what they're going to be like in this time next year is going to be even more significant. And so this technology is just going to continue to progress and develop, obviously in a very positive way, to continue to support you guys in your day to day in making sure that you guys aren't stressed, you guys aren't burnt out, you aren't spending 2 hours every single night completing your admin and writing your letters and reports and everything else. It's to hopefully allow you, as I mentioned before, to really just focus on what's really important for you as a clinician, which is treating your patients and giving them an amazing level of care. Now, we'll start off with just a very, very small little case study just to give, I guess, a little insight into what it's all about. So you can see here, we've got a 50-year-old female, Linda, it's your last patient of the day. She's coming with chronic low back pain, super uncomfortable, dull and constant. It's really aggravated with long periods of sitting and standing. And it's obviously really impacting her ability to work and also just normal daily activities. The pain obviously has become more disruptive now with some shooting sensation down the left leg, and with trying other treatments which haven't really helped. She's obviously experienced little relief and is now trying to find a way that you can help her get back to her mobility that she wants and obviously her quality of life. Now, with this, a normal consult, okay, obviously, what will you guys need to be completing? All right. Standard of obviously is going to be your clinical note. Okay. Pretending or even thinking about, let's say this is initial consult, you obviously have to go through a very thorough case history, past history, medical history, family history, social history, everything, right? As well as obviously right now, symptoms, what's going on, examination, and then obviously treatment and management, what you're going to do with that. In this instance as well, particularly maybe if you guys found some anything sinister, let's say you need to refer her to a specialist for further investigations of maybe scans or whether it's even potential investigations for surgery, anything like that, you'll need to create a referral letter, right? On top of that as well, I'm sure some of you probably provide even higher level of service and would create maybe something like a patient summary letter, right? A straight up, I guess, email that you send to them straight after the consult, describing what's been going on, what they need to do post the consult, as you guys would have spoken through. Obviously, those just are a couple of things. There's probably other things as well. You guys might generate maybe a letter back to the GP if they're a part of a EPC or TCA. All of those things that take a super, I guess, significant amount of time manually to generate. All of that, again, depends how quickly of a typer you are, but this can take anywhere between, let's say, 5 minutes to maybe 20 minutes, okay, to generate all of those paperwork and the admin that you need to complete. Now, with the support of a tool like an AI scribe, you have the ability to cut that time down, as I said, anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes down to 1 or 2 minutes. So a scribe is now supporting clinicians, obviously, in completely significantly cutting that time down and actually saving them anywhere from an hour to 2 hours every single day when it comes to their clinical admin. So what is a scribe all about? And obviously this is specific to Heidi. You can see here that the biggest thing is obviously recording the session. That this is how Heidi creates a transcript. It's a transcription tool. It's a transcribing function. It listens to the conversation between yourself and your patient. It creates a transcript of those words. And then from that, Heidi then has the ability to automatically output the generation of a custom clinical note that you want it to look like and how you want it to personalize it to yourself. But on top of that, it's not just a case note, it's any other documentation that you need to create, such as a letter back to the GP, a referral letter to the specialist, a patient consult summary visit letter, a report or an assessment, anything like that you guys need to generate for these patients every day. Heidi has the capacity to do that for you with a click of a button through our amazing template function. So progress notes, obviously, as well, and I'll get to this in as well, but we've got the sort of a context tab where you can provide Heidi any additional information. So if you've seen this patient a few times, you can create a progress note for that. And any other documents, as I mentioned, patient explainers, medical certificates, letters, reports, assessments, through the template function. Heidi's here to support and do that really, really quickly for you. Integration is obviously a very big, I guess, priority for us as well. If you're using Heidi as a standalone, a lot of clinicians are just simply copying and pasting or exporting it as a PDF or doc, if that's easy. But if you are using Heidi and we integrate with your practice management software, then you have the ability to have sort of a mini version of Heidi either embedded within your software or we have the ability to do an API connection where you can have your schedule of appointments, so schedule of patients within Heidi, and then automatically push that clinical note back to that relevant appointment in your practice management software. And I'll show you that when we do a bit of a show and tell. Now, as I mentioned, there are quite a lot of things that you guys need to think about, and a lot of clinicians need to be cautious of when they are starting to introduce themselves to AI, and particularly the scribe space. A few of these obviously are listed here, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into all of them. Compliance and security, of course, is absolutely essential, right? You're dealing obviously with people's information and healthcare information. It's obviously really, really critical information that you can't just obviously be throwing away or providing to anything. And so we obviously understand that. And confidently speaking, we are definitely the most compliant and secure scribe in Australia and probably the world as well. Two of these certifications, as you can see here, the ISO and the SOC 2 on the left, these take months and months to achieve through auditing and investigations and processes. And we have both of those, and there's no other scribe in Australia that actually has that. And importantly as well, obviously being APP compliant, having all data localized in Australia. Everything that is stored is completely de-identified as well. So no patient information is ever stored on our servers here in Sydney, in Australia, as well as also everything is encrypted. So a big question, obviously, as well that we get often is, but all the information that's going through Heidi is being used to train the AI models. And again, that is usually what commonly happens with AI models. But I can reassure you that we have strict policies in place when it comes to the models that we use, that no information, no data that is being processed through there is used to train the model. Something as well that reassures patients is the audio recording aspect, right? There are never, ever any audio recordings stored through Heidi. The only thing that's stored is the transcript. So Heidi's just listening to those words, creates a transcript, and then it can obviously formulate into anything that you're after with that template function, which I'll show you soon. So no audio recording is ever stored. And the last thing to make mention of is what is stored is completely up to you. So when you create a new session, you have a patient, you have the ability to either store that on your account, which is stored on our servers in Sydney, or whether you have the option to just delete it and have that removed from your account. But importantly as well, it's completely removed from our servers as well. So if you delete a session, we actually can't recover that. So it's really important to remember. Now, consent is obviously also a big thing to discuss, and AHPRA have come out and made a statement as well a couple of months ago about AI scribes, and obviously the biggest things were security and data privacy, but also consent. And patient consent it's really important if you are using Heidi with your patients that you record and obtain patient consent, that you're using a transcription tool to support you with your documentation. Even though, as I mentioned, there's no audio recording ever stored, AHPRA and I guess everyone is still recommending and suggesting that you do get patient consent. Now, obviously, the way you frame this with your patients is really important as well. And something as simple as obviously just I'm using a notification. I'm using a transcription tool to support me with my clinical documentation. This allows me to provide a lot better care and focus on you. Is this okay with you? Majority of the time, we don't hear of any issues, and patients are really supportive. And if you actually end up showing them what the output of Heidi can provide, they're usually quite blown away. So definitely something to obviously be cautious of, though, with consent. It's important that you get it. We have consent forms online. We've got patient explainers on our website. We've got a whole lot of resources to support you with that. So if you did want to look at that, it's all on our website, and yeah, obviously more than welcome to download it all. Now, accuracy is obviously also a really big, important factor about our scribes. And the biggest thing for Heidi is, again, we understand that no one's going to use a product if they're going to have to go back in there and edit everything, because that's just completely useless. It's actually going to take you guys more time. So the way, obviously, we build Heidi is to ensure that we can provide an amazing, high quality output that sounds exactly like you and like what you want in that output. So it's obviously not easy to build a really good product like that, but we've obviously taken a lot of time and effort to make sure that it's exactly how we want it to look and sound like, so that you guys and as clinicians would really love to use something like Heidi. It has obviously the ability to contextualize speakers extremely well. It understands accents, really, even really heavy accents really well, and understand a whole lot of other, I guess, jargon that is spoken about, to make sure that it's giving you a really high quality output. But of course, on top of security and privacy and on top of patient consent, the third thing that's really important for you guys is that you always need to make sure that you're reviewing the output. Heidi's your support tool. Okay. At the end of the day, your clinical notes that are submitted into your practice management software or the letter that you finalize and send off is it's your document. It's your obviously documentation. It's not Heidi's. So it's always needing to make sure that you review your output, you're happy with it before you submit it. Cool. And as I mentioned, the biggest thing that we focus on is making sure that we can allow you guys to have a Heidi, which is sort of like your little digital twin, right? Your virtual AI assistant that sounds like you, right? And is able to produce an output exactly how you would want it to look and to sound. So through a couple of settings, obviously through the voice and brain, which I'll talk to when we start doing a demo, but also the most important thing is actually customizing templates to exactly how you would normally generate your initial consult or your follow-up consult, or if you have specific templates for your different types of presentations that come in that you treat for different patients, right? You can generate as many templates as you're after through the function of the template. And then again, when it comes to shorthand, abbreviations, acronyms, we've got features in there that allow you to tell Heidi, listen, instead of this word, I want you to put it as this, right? And so we'll get to that as well. Awesome. Cool. So I think this leads us onto a really good chance to get onto Heidi and show you exactly how this all works. I'm going to share my screen again, the right one. And if everyone can just give me a smile or a thumbs up, beautiful. Thank you. Now I've got the wonderful help of Andy, who we're going to do a little mock consult for everyone to show you exactly what Heidi's capable of doing. But just before that, just with regards to like the setting up of your account, you can see here on the settings page where you put in your specialty. It's really, really important you enter your specialty and the correct one, because Heidi will actually adjust the way it acts depending on who you are. Okay, there's obviously different meanings of different words and different abbreviations in different specialties. You can see we're supporting over 200 different specialties. So it's really important you provide Heidi with an understanding of who you are so that it can provide you with the most relevant output that you're looking for. All right, now workflow is really easy, right? We've made it super simple to utilize. You can see here that we're using Heidi on a web browser, but we have built Heidi in a number of variety of ways that you can utilize depending on the environment that you're in. So Heidi's a web browser, obviously, as you can see here. We've also built a mobile or a tablet app. So you can utilize that if you're ever out and about, whether you're going to see patients at home or whether you're in a nursing home or wherever it is on your mobile visits, you can utilize that, or even on the gym floor, right? Big things is obviously the gym floor for physios or EPs or anyone like that. So that's going from the consult room to the gym floor. We have the mobile and tablet app that is obviously much easier to move around rather than a computer. And then on top of that as well is the desktop app that we've built. If anyone completes any telehealth, we also have the desktop app that's been specifically designed for telehealth. If you wear earphones or a headset, Heidi has the ability to listen into the system audio so that you don't have to have it played out loud. Cool. And then obviously, as I mentioned, the integration aspect, right? If Heidi is embedded within your PMS, such as Halaxy, then you would have a mini version of Heidi within the software. And instead of using Heidi as a standalone, you would have it within your actual software. Sweet. So let's get cracking. So we'll click new session over here. As always, I mentioned before, the consent is very important. So we'll have a little pop-up here to remind you to get patient consent. And then once you do that, we'll then have the ability to see obviously the start session page here. You can see if I click the drop down, we've got a couple of options. We've got transcribing and dictating. So transcribing is, as I mentioned, that amazing function where it listens to the conversation, creates a transcript, and then can formulate all of that information into a specific custom template that you want Heidi to output. The dictation function is a word for word output. So if at any time you want to dictate something and it's going to be word for word, then of course you've got that dictation function and that output is instant as well. Before we start as well, just to show you the context tab, which I touched on in the deck before, this is an area where you can provide Heidi any other additional information that you want Heidi to know about this patient. So let's just say you've got referral information, or whether you've got results from imaging, or anything else that I guess would be in your head but is not being verbalized. This is really an area for you to provide Heidi all of that information over here. And anything that's in here, Heidi will take into consideration when it's generating your clinical note as well as any other documentation. All right, beautiful. Andy is going to be my physio today, and I'm going to be the patient. And we're going to do a little mock consult for a few minutes, and then we'll continue showing you through exactly what Heidi's capable of doing, and then we'll keep going from there. Andy, thank you very much for seeing me today. How are you?
I mean, I'm doing really, really well. How about yourself? How's your day been?
Yeah, day's been okay, mate. Busy at work, busy at work. Quite a bit of pain as well, but yeah, apart from that, everything's pretty good.
Well, let's start with that, mate. What's brought you in today? How can I help you?
Yeah. So I'm actually coming because of my left shoulder.
Hmm.
It's been hurting me now for probably bothering me probably for 3 months, but really in the past 4 weeks, it's really started to get quite a bit worse. And yeah, I really like to play tennis and basketball, and it's impacting me doing that.
Okay, that's not good. Did anything happen about 4 weeks ago that triggered the pain to spike?
As I was playing basketball at the time. As I
Hmm.
said, it's been bothering me for 3 months. But yeah, when I was playing basketball, I just went up for like sort of a normal block.
Hmm.
And I just felt something, but I didn't really think much of it and thought it'd just get better. But yeah, obviously it hasn't got any better, and it's been 4 weeks now, and I need to do something about it.
Yeah, no, totally. Is it impacting your sleep at all?
I haven't actually thought about that, but yeah,
Yep.
it does. Like I usually sleep on my right side anyway,
Yep.
but I have been waking up throughout the night with that pain.
And since then, has there been any other aggravating factors like reaching for things, grabbing stuff, lifting stuff?
Yeah, definitely. Like I guess any movement
Hmm.
above my I guess like above my shoulder when I lift my arm up, I can
Hmm.
feel it. Particularly like either just going straight or also a bit like to the side as well.
Okay, no, understood. Does anything make you feel any better?
Not really, to be honest. I haven't really taken any pain relief,
Mhm.
and I haven't really done anything else for it. So no,
No, okay, understood. I guess, do you get any pins and needles or numbness or anything like that?
no, I'm not experiencing anything like that.
Wonderful. And does the pain in your shoulder on your left-hand side, does it actually stay in the shoulder or does it go down your arm at all, would you say?
Uh, it's pretty local. Like it probably wraps around a little bit,
Mhm.
and goes down like probably to the bottom of my shoulder, but it's pretty local to the shoulder. It doesn't really go anywhere else.
Okay, no, understood. Okay, no, that's totally fine. Now, I wanted to ask you, mate, is there anything that you feel is important to your shoulder before I move into the assessment side of things and then start having a look at the shoulder of yours?
Anything that's important?
Yeah, anything that I've missed that
Uh,
you feel is relevant to your shoulder?
I mean, I've had a few like past injuries before. I've
Uh-huh.
dislocated my shoulder about 3 years ago
Uh-huh.
on the left side. That was through playing basketball as well.
I see.
And I've also broken my wrist falling from basketball as well on that left side. What else? Apart from that, I've got asthma. So I'm on Ventolin. What else should you know? I think that's probably about it.
When that dislocation happened was it 3 years ago, did you say?
Yeah.
Did you get any physio, chiro, EP, osteo?
Yeah, I got some treatment for probably a couple months
How did that go?
from the physio. Yeah, it was good. He gave me some exercises to do,
Yep.
which I did for a couple months and then sort of felt better, so I just left it.
Okay. Do you still have those exercises, by the way, or?
Do I have them? Probably
Yeah.
some, but I haven't done them for a while.
Oh, no, that's totally fine, mate. Okay, no, that's perfectly fine. So it seems like we've got a fairly decent understanding about what's actually going on. And I know, look, I appreciate you joining me over the phone, but to make this a little bit easier for myself, do you reckon I can run a few tests with you just on screen, just to get an
Sure,
understanding of how the shoulder of yours is
sure,
going? Okay,
sure.
so I'm going to get you to just lean back a little bit. And first of all, I'm going to get you to take both of your arms and I want you to try to lift them up just like so, just to the point where you start to feel any discomfort.
Yeah, I can't lift it up any higher than that.
Okay, so it looks about like 90 degrees on your left shoulder, if I'm seeing that correctly. If you had to rate the pain on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I've got to take you to a hospital, 0 being no pain at all, like when you get to that 90-degree position, does that make you
Uh,
feel
Probably six.
probably about a 6 out of 10?
Yeah,
Okay, and is it still quite local, 6 out of 10 in that?
yeah, it's all,
Yeah.
all in that front of the shoulder.
Okay, no, fantastic. What about if we do the same thing, but we're going to go out to the side and above your head, so into this abduction position, same sort of thing.
Yeah, I can't really lift it any higher than that.
Yeah, so it's, once again, like if you had to give that a pain rating out of 10,
Very similar, six.
very similar, 6, and it looks to me about like 90 degrees again, correct?
Yep.
No, understood. Now, I guess if I can, I'm going to get you to hold your right hand out in front of you like this. I'm going to get you to bend your arm up to about 90 degrees, like what I'm doing. And I'm going to get you to try to turn your elbow down like that. Okay.
Yeah, that
Do you,
hurts.
that hurts straight away as well.
Yeah.
Is that the same pain that you experience?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we call that's a little Hawkins Kennedy test, and to me that seems quite positive on that side. Can you do it on the other side just so I can see if there's any difference?
Yeah, that's okay.
That's okay. And it looks as though like the range on that is a hell of a lot better too. So it looks to me like you can get to about 45 degrees on your right and maybe 10 or 20 degrees on your left-hand side before you start to experience any pain. On your right-hand side, can you try to reach behind and reach to the small of your back like that?
Yep, that's okay. That feels
That's
all right for
fine.
me.
No issues at all. Okay. And what about if you were to try that on your left-hand side?
Yeah, I can start to feel it straight away.
Okay. Do you reckon you can get as high on your back on your left-hand side as opposed to your right?
No,
No,
I'm
not at
definitely.
all. And once again, what's the pain like out of 10 on that hand behind back test?
That's not as bad, but it's probably like a four. Still feel it.
Okay. So there's definitely it seems as though there's definitely something there, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
totally. A couple of one or two more little things that I'd like to have a look at first. Can I get you to sit up nice and tall? We're going to screen your neck very, very quickly. Can I get you to turn your head now to your right, if that's okay, just like that? Okay. Any discomfort there?
No, that's okay.
Okay. Range of motion looks full. Can I get you to try and do the same thing over your left hand side? Now, how does
Yeah,
that feel you doing that?
yeah. It's blocking a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Would you say, and to me, it looks like, I guess the range of motion is a little bit less. Okay. Not so much, but maybe about 10 or so degrees less than perhaps it
Yeah,
is on your right hand side. Can
yeah.
you also do the same thing looking up towards the ceiling as high as you can go? Any
That's okay.
discomfort there?
That's okay.
That's all fine if you try to go all the way down like
It's
that.
also okay.
Okay, fantastic. And now this time around, right ear to right shoulder like that. Any discomfort there?
That's okay.
Okay, do you feel any like stiffness or anything like that on your left or your right side of your
I
neck
can,
when you
I
do
can
that?
feel it pulling, but there's
Just a
no
little
pain.
bit? And no pain, you said, right?
Yeah, no pain.
Okay, what about if you do the same thing, left ear to left shoulder like that? How does that feel?
Yeah, I can feel a bit of a bit of an ache and a
Yeah.
pull on the outside.
Okay, understood, understood. Okay, so that's otherwise fine. Okay, now do you want me to keep going, mate?
Treatment management.
Okay, treatment management. Okay, so look, from here, okay, so a couple of things have really sort of stood out to me. First of all, mate, it seems as though you've got a bit of a range of motion deficit on that left hand side, where you can only get to about 90 degrees through flexion and abduction, and you've got a fair amount of pain, which is local. Okay, and you've also got this other thing, this little Hawkins Kennedy test that we did, which is usually indicative of things that we consider to be like what we call subacromial impingement, but I can't rule out a little bit of rotator cuff issue there as well. Okay, where there might be a little bit of an irritation and or strain within that region. Okay, what we know of when it comes to physiotherapy and how we can help out with this is that exercise is really important. Okay. So what I want to make sure that you've got is a series of exercises which can actually help to improve your range of motion, where we use bands and trigger balls and things like that to enhance your mobility, as well as a number of easy to do strengthening exercises, particularly for your rotator cuff, to make sure that we can get rid of that nagging, gnawing, irritation from there. Now, the other thing that I'm going to mention as a part of this, first of all, is that you've got a bit of discomfort there and you haven't tried any anti-inflammatories or anything like that. Now, that's not for me to really talk about, but what I am going to recommend that you do is that you go have a yarn to your doctor, okay, talk about some ways in which you can manage that. And I guess with the tools that I have available, mate, I actually might write you a letter really, really quickly so you can take that back to your doctor to get some information about how you can use like some of the meds to co-manage what's going on with this shoulder of yours. And yeah, that to me seems like a really suitable plan to help you get out of this pain as soon as possible, mate. Do you have any
Perfect.
questions all about that?
Yeah, so just a couple of things.
Sure.
Firstly, is if you could just quickly run through a couple of the exercises very
Yep.
briefly, and then
Sure.
also how long do you think or when do I need to come back? How long do you think this will take to get better?
Sure. I guess usually with these sorts of things, I like to monitor these things for about 2 to 4 weeks. Okay. And usually what the clinical time looks like is once a week for that 4 week period. And in that time, we're trying to build out and progress those exercises. That way we can get you back to basketball as soon as possible. All right. That seems to be like the main task that you're trying to get back to, correct?
Perfect. Yeah,
That
awesome.
was the
And
first. The other question, sorry.
the exercises. What are the first two exercises that I should do?
Okay, the first thing I'm going to get you to do. So first of all, do you have a trigger ball at home?
Yep.
Okay, what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to take that trigger ball. I'm going to get you to place it in the back side of your shoulder, leaning up against the wall, okay, to release the area of your shoulder called your posterior cuff. That's
Yep.
been shown, I guess, in my experience, to really take a lot of that pain on the front side of the shoulder away. I know it sounds a bit counterintuitive, but placing the ball in there, rolling around with some deep pressure, almost like a massage for about 30 seconds to a minute on both sides is usually a really, really good place to start. And I'd like you to do that in the morning and in the evening. Right.
Perfect.
The second
Perfect.
exercise that I'm going to get you to do, because I think I saw on your intake form that you had you have TheraBands and access to that sort of stuff at
Yep.
home.
Yep.
Okay. The first exercise that I'm going to give you is something called an external rotation isometric, and this is actually for your rotator cuff muscles. So what that involves is that your arms are going to be by your side, your elbows are going to be at 90 degrees, and you're going to take that band and you're going to pull it out so you feel about maybe 3 to 5 out of 10 discomfort in your shoulder. Okay. And I want you to hold that contraction there for 3 sets of 30 seconds. Okay.
Perfect.
And that's all
Sweet.
you got to do that daily for me every single day until I see you for the following week.
Easy. Awesome. That sounds good. Thanks very much for your help, Andy. I'll
Uh,
see you next week.
See you then, mate. Thank you.
Okay, bye. Cool. Longer than
Well
I
done, Bill.
expected, but
Done.
that's okay.
Good. Yeah. Bill that for work cover. There you done.
Very, very good, Andy. Very good. I would come and see you tomorrow if I was in pain. So thank you.
Hey, very good.
All right, guys. So before I show you, I guess, the output, what's really important to remember is the resume function over here on the top right. This, just because you stop the session when the patient's left the room, doesn't mean you can't come back and add in any other information that wasn't verbalized, right? So there's a lot of use cases for this, particularly when you haven't mentioned all of the examination findings, okay? Verbalize that out loud with the patient, which is pretty common. So you would come in, click resume, and then I guess just pretty much tell Heidi. Another examination finding was the knees test, positive on the left-hand side, and external rotation also restricted to 20 degrees. And then you click stop, and Heidi's again is going to ask you your output. How do you want that to be? So if I go on to a physio note that we've got physio consult over here, Heidi now will generate that customized template. So this is a customized template that's been built. It's not just a standard SOAP or H&P or issues or anything like that. It's a customized template. And so you can see here, this custom template also includes like a little bit of a handover sentence at the top, but then now you can see the ability of Heidi to get into the real depths of it. So left shoulder pain 3 months ago, worsening the past 4 weeks during basketball. Left shoulder localized with slight wrap around to the bottom of the shoulder, aching, pulling, 6 out of 10 at 90 degrees, 4 out of 10 with internal radiations, nothing beyond the shoulder, constant disturbing the sleep, no pins and needles or numbness, aggravating his overhead movements, as I mentioned, relieving none, as I said, previous complaints as well as a shoulder dislocation 3 years ago and the left wrist fracture. This is another section. Again, just remember, this is a customized template that someone has generated based on what they want their clinical note to look like. So they've got some other treating team involvement there, verbal consent to communicate with the other team. Now we get to the, obviously, examination. You can see reduced left foot motion, left shoulder compared to the right, left shoulder flexion limited to 90, external rotation to 20. Again, everything that Andy mentioned. Strength testing, unable to maintain resistance against external rotation. Difficulty reaching behind back on the left side compared to the right. Ortho positive Hawkins, also as I mentioned and added in at the end there, knees test, left positive, and then cervical range of motion as well. As Andy mentioned, diagnosis, what we think is going on, and then we didn't obviously specifically say what Andy is going to do in that consult, whether he's going to do any soft tissue or dry needling or whatever, like that. But we did just say, obviously, the treatment is going to be focused on exercises and trigger release. So you can see, obviously, that's been added in there. It advised to consult GP as well. The exercises he told me to do, both of them are there. Review in 1 week. Management's going to take 2 to 4 weeks. And aim is obviously to return to basketball with progression. So as you can see here, in my opinion, it looks pretty good, right? I'm not sure if you guys would change or add anything in there, but as I mentioned, that the quality is obviously really important to ensure that you can go in there, review that, look at the, oh, there's barely anything I need to add or change, and then quickly submit that. So again, as I mentioned, this is a custom template, so that's been built, right? We do have some set templates, which are your basic templates, but the beauty of Heidi is where you can customize the output to ensure that it's specific to how you want everything to look like. It covers everything, and Heidi can automate that for you straight away post that consult. Now, if I go on to talk about the voice function as well, so we've got here the ability for you to decide how brief or detailed you'd like your notes. Goldilocks, as you guys are well aware, is just right, somewhere in the middle. But if we like to have something that's a bit more detailed, you'll see Heidi has the ability to provide even more information and more, I guess, content, if you want to call it, within the output. And so within the super detailed function as well, there's actually quotations of what the patient said specific to that I guess, symptom that they mentioned. So once Heidi loads this up, you can see now that all of those quotes are going to be added in according to what that patient said specific to that, I guess, section over there. And obviously, overall, there's quite a bit more information inputted within that super detailed function. Now, again, it's just all about allowing you guys to choose what is suitable for you and what your preference is. So that just shows you the capacity there. The brain hemispheres is another thing to play around with, left and right side. Left is usually used commonly for just really simple visits. And if you just want Heidi to really go quickly for it, but the right side of the brain is for anything that is a bit more complex. You want Heidi to take a step back and be a bit more slower and thoughtful about it. You'd select the right side, and Heidi has the capacity to do that for you. You can obviously alternate between the voice function. You can alternate between left and right. You can alternate between the templates as well, depending on what you're looking for, as many times as you need. Okay, now that's the clinical note side of things, right? I will just also touch on the Ask Heidi bar down below here. This is an area for you to ask Heidi to support you really with anything to do with the output over here. So if I say, tell me the quotes patient said about dislocation, right? If you can't remember something specific from what the patient said, you can quickly just get Heidi to recap that for you. And as you can see here, Heidi will go back through the transcript and provide you exactly what the patient said regarding whatever you've asked it to. So it's an amazing, amazing help when it comes to, let's say you've had an initial consult, for example, and there's so much information there, but you can't recall something. Heidi's there to give you all of that information. Now, that's Heidi obviously to assist, I guess, with your output here. But what's even, I guess, more, I guess, beneficial is when it comes to now the documentation aspect of Heidi. So you've got your clinical note. If you are integrated, obviously, as I said, you'd be using this within your software. But if you are integrated with a partner of ours that has an API connection, your appointment book would be visible over here where the schedule is. So let's say it'd be Yoav at 10 a.m. and you click on Yoav and complete the session as per normal. Okay. All your past sessions are listed here. And then so once you've clicked on Andy, completed the session, let's pretend this is it. Let's say we're integrated with Clinico, or you're using Clinico. There's a button over here that says push note to Clinico. And once you click that, it gets sent as a draft treatment note straight to Clinico for that patient, for that appointment. And then you'd be able to finalize that off in Clinico. Cool. If you're not integrated, then of course you just simply copy and paste. As you can see here with a copy button, just copy and then paste it across into your software. Now, when it comes to documentation, this is where you click create. And again, the template function is your best friend. So you can see obviously a whole lot of different templates are here. But let's say we, as Andy mentioned, we're going to do a letter back to the GP. If I click a letter back to the GP, Heidi now with a click of a button is going to generate a letter exactly how I want my letter to look like, to be structured, to be styled, right? And something that would normally take you anywhere from 2, 3, 4 minutes, 10 minutes, depending how comprehensive it is. As you can see here, has just been generated within a few seconds. Again, this is all customizable. This is all exactly how you want it to look and to be outputted. Something else that clinicians love is, and what they've got the capacity to do now so easily, is create sort of a consult summary visit. So if I go over here, I've got another template built specifically for that. This is sort of a one pager you can quickly print off as the patient is about to leave, outlining everything that was discussed through the consult, as you can see here. So issues discussed, what things going on, what management next steps we have, and then what I need to do as a patient. And then obviously you can put this on your letterhead or whatever it is, or you can even just quickly email it straight after a consult. So the level of service that you can start to provide patients as well is far greater with the use of Heidi as well to support you with that. On that as well, if I just quickly jump into the template function, if I go on the back end of what this template looks like, with the customization aspect, you can see here that this is how Heidi works on the back end of a template. So anything that's not in brackets is verbatim. It's always going to be there. Okay, so that line is always going to be in that template. Same with that title. Okay, but then you can see the square brackets. Square brackets are the placeholders. So that's where Heidi's grabbing that information from the consult, from the transcript, from the context tab, and putting that into the relevant field over here. But then you've got the ability to obviously put instructions in as well in round brackets. And you can be as specific as you would like when it comes to instructions. So as you can see here, we've got make this brief headline style only include if it's been mentioned, right? But you can also put in there, make this in dot points, make this in full sentences, don't use these words, make sure to include negative findings. You can, and at the top here is another example. This is for the patient, therefore use language that should only be appropriate for a health consumer. Do not use medical abbreviations or jargon, right? So you can really customize the output to exactly what you want as your document. Everything here is completely editable as well, right? So if you're not happy with something, you can take something out and then obviously add in whatever you're after. And if you're part of a clinic, you come on board as a team, you can share it around as a team as well. So the team function over here, you can just select visibility as a team, and the whole team has access to that. Otherwise, it's just for you. It's just for you. And the document over here type, whether it's a clinical note, you save it as a clinical note, and if it's a document, you save it as a document. So that's the I guess the template function at a very high level. But yeah, the most important, I guess, benefit and the streamlining of efficiencies that come from Heidi is building your own custom template so that it literally matches exactly what you normally do day to day. And it sounds like you, it acts like you, and it obviously generates it within a few seconds for you. Cool. Now, just conscious of time, I'm going to go through a couple more things and then we'll open up the floor for Q&A. So again, with regards to making this more personalized and custom to yourself, you can see some preference options here as well. If you have a default note, you can set that up, default voice, brain hemisphere, and also with regards to the deletion of sessions. As I mentioned, if you delete it, it's permanently deleted. But if you store it, it's always stored there, and obviously it will be deleted when you delete it. But if you want to automatically delete your sessions after a certain period of time, you have that ability to do so through that setting. And then the last thing I'll touch on is the memory tab. So this is again an area for you to provide Heidi even more understanding into what you want out of Heidi for it to act like you. So the replace function is where you can abbreviate or alternate spelling of words that you normally utilize. So let's say instead of wait, you'd use WT. And so each time Heidi would normally output wait, it's going to do it as WT for you. And the same with snippets. This is if you have any other, I guess, pre-written text snippets. So like, let's say maybe a pain science education little snippet that you might put on a consult summary visit for them to understand, right? You can put a shortcut here saying pain education, right? And then your content, you put your little spiel in there, you click create, and then each time you do /pain education, new output, Heidi will automatically output that little brief there for you. So again, a really cool option to just streamline things even further for you. All right. I've rambled on for way too long. Love to hear everyone's thoughts, feedback, and obviously open up the floor for any questions. Yeah, go for it.
Man, this is crazy, bro. I mean, I'm just like, I think every time I see these things, there's always something a little bit new, and I'm like, man, it's nuts. So first of all, before we get into questions, guys, big round of applause for you. I've like, yeah, just That was amazing, bro. Like I
Yeah.
love hearing more and more about this sort of stuff. I'd like to jump straight to Stella because I know you're itching on a question, especially if it already hasn't been answered. Do you want to unmute yourself and ask away?
Yeah, for sure. So my question was actually relating to the app because I did download it recently and um I have the memory of a goldfish, so I can never remember my password. So I kind of rely on my browser to automatically log me in. And the app obviously doesn't have that sort of functionality yet, but I was wondering if there was like anything in the works where it's like instead of fully logging out when you're finished using it for like security reasons, is there anything in the pipeline for just like once you've logged in, maybe it keeps you logged in properly for 30 days, but it's locked securely with like a code or something like that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's really good feedback actually. I think obviously, yeah, the biggest thing as you mentioned is security and compliance aspect of it.
Mm.
Is we obviously need to make sure that it can't just be open and available all the time because there's obviously sensitive information there. So I think that's usually the main reason why we have to usually complete those processes.
Mm.
But I think I guess what you mentioned, which I guess a lot of other apps have as well when it comes to like having a code or a face ID. Instead of having to log in like manually with your email and password could be a really good way of streamlining that. So I'll definitely pass that on. I appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, no, thank you. And also the whole presentation was awesome. Yeah, I'm I'm keen to explore more of the features of Heidi now. Definitely.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
thanks.
Thank you.
So now I guess no, I know Teddy has to go, but he was very, very thankful, Yav. So I appreciate that, mate. You didn't have any other questions. Cody, mate, new clinic, I guess new adventures for you, mate. Anything on your end?
Hey, nothing too much. Sorry, I was a bit late. I was running behind treating. Is there already Clinico API integration?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sick. Okay, I'll have to have a look. I made an account a couple of weeks ago, and then I've just been too unsure of relinquishing control. But so I'll get on and give it a
Good.
crack.
Yeah, no, good. Yeah, no, we're here waiting for you whenever you're ready.
Yeah, sick. Cheers, mate. Appreciate it.
Fantastic. Siobhan, I know you've been listening on your phone, and I guess I did let Yoav know that you got a bit of a team under you. Any questions, concerns, feedback on your end, Siobhan? Hey.
And can you hear me and see me, guys?
Yes.
Cool, awesome. Hey, yeah, I'm Siobhan. I'm a podiatrist. I'm working out of a multidisciplinary team at the moment. So I think it would at this stage definitely be more beneficial for like our EPs and physios from a podiatry point of view for like our general treatments. I think at this stage it might be a little bit tricky for us to integrate Heidi for some type of things. Like if we're noticing, like seeing a wound, I feel like would really have to verbalize like, the diameter of this and keep going through all those things. So I think at this stage, physically writing those things might be a little bit easier, but I can really see how it would benefit us for biomechanical assessments. Just seeing that consultation with Andy, it looked really easy. And I like the seamlessness of being able to provide the patient with that handout at the end. It really shows that personalized care. So it's definitely something I would like to have a play around with and see how it goes.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm not sure if you were, I think you were, but just something on that. Firstly, we do have plenty of podiatrists obviously using Heidi. Now, obviously, yeah, the big thing with any eye scribe, but obviously with Heidi, as we're mentioning it, is the communication aspect, right? And obviously, Heidi at the moment can't see what you're doing, and it can't read your brain.
Not
It has
yet.
to obviously not yet. It
You're
has to
early.
listen. It has to listen into what you're saying. So, what this has sort of, I guess, done for some practitioners in a good way is made them obviously be a lot more communicative with their patients and actually giving them, I guess, more of an understanding into what's going on in examination findings, things like that, because in their back of their head, they know Heidi's picking it up. And of course, obviously, it's benefiting them because it's benefiting their clinical admin aspect with Heidi, but it also has the ability to actually benefit you and your patient's relationship and rapport and communication because you're actually, I guess, in a way, providing them a much better level of understanding of what's going on. Again, each practitioner is very different, right? But even if you don't verbalize it through the consult, as I showed you with the with that session that we just did, once the consult's finished, you can just resume the button over here, right? And so it still saves you having to type or do anything manually. You would just literally just comment on the fact that there's a 4 centimeter wound and whatever else there is that you would normally comment on, and Heidi will input that straight into that template for you into the relevant section. So again, totally understand that it is a bit of a I guess, slight change to workflow in that aspect. But I guess what a lot of clinicians are realizing is usually it does benefit the overall streamlining and the time saving aspect. So yeah, definitely I think worth giving a try with all types of presentations that you see and seeing what works and what doesn't. And yeah, we're obviously really open to hearing any feedback as well.
I'd like to chime in on that if that's okay, because I think like maybe this might be further to your point, Siobhan, because I think there are some things from a clinical perspective that might be inappropriate to verbalize, just like if it's like anxiety, if you don't want to say anything that's going to like put your patient over the edge. Where I think what I've been using a lot is the context feature and typing that stuff in manually. And then I guess what I've actually found myself personally is that Heidi does a really, really good job of integrating that into, like, if you write further assessment, further objective analysis of 4 centimeter wound, looks like this, potential red flag, blah, 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 blah. I can get that information down and on there, integrates into the output fairly seamlessly. And if there's any further stuff that needs to happen from there, like whether it be letters or correspondence, it usually chimes it in very, very well. And from a workflow perspective, because I typically have it with my laptop in front of me, and I'll have it there as if I'm speaking to my laptop and speaking to my patient. But if they mention something or I see something, I'll just take a moment of silence and just quickly type that in whatever shorthand is appropriate, and I'll carry on with the consult after that.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. That sounds good. I forgot there was that resume feature, so that makes sense. Even if the patient has left the room, I can just say a few quick things as well. But yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm definitely keen to give it a go.
Cool.
Beautiful.
So also did you hear about like the app function for your EPs and stuff? Because you guys have a fairly big clinic and stuff.
Yeah. So we've got a pretty big clinic. So I saw a little bit of that at the beginning for the app, and yeah.
I've been playing around with the app function as well.
It's good.
I take it out with me when I'm in the gym.
Yeah.
Cool.
Bit of fun. It
Definitely.
actually does a really good job if you keep it close enough, even in a busy, loud gym. It actually does quite a good job.
Fantastic. Cool.
And lastly, Fan, any questions or comments from you, sir? See,
Or no?
5, 4, 3, 2. Just whack it in the chat, mate, if you got a chance. And lastly, Mel, like we got another person here as well. Because Mel, you haven't had a chance to sort of really go into a lot of this technology. Any things from your end?
I was just like looking at, like, for example, work cover, right? With AHRRs and stuff, and seeing how like try and like save yourself in putting all that information into an AHRR. Is there any way it can like cross over?
Good question. Is that sort of stuff still in development? Because that's all interactive PDF stuff, isn't it?
Those like allied health treatment request forms, is that what you're after?
Yeah.
And they've got their set sort of set boxes and things that you have to put in.
Yeah, the interactive fields.
Yeah. So at the moment, for I guess the more text-based answers, clinicians are still generating a Heidi template for Heidi to answer that like easily and seamlessly, and then just copying those main text questions straight into the relevant boxes or the relevant fields of that treatment form. There's going to be a time, probably hopefully in the next 3 months, maybe a bit longer, where we'll be able to output into those type of templates and into relevant fields and sections and boxes and things like that. At the moment, it's obviously just purely text-based at the moment, and obviously coming lines down like that. But the Eng team at the moment are working on building sort of the function of where you can put tables and pretty much make whatever template you need to make.
Sounds great. That sounds incredible.
I was going to say, I guess now I might, if open the door, because I think there was a couple of questions online prior to this. I think I just want to make sure that they haven't already been addressed, because the questions that we had were around compliance, which I think you went through very, very, I guess, thoroughly. We talked about the clinical integrations. We just talked about WorkCover then. We've also talked about Halaxy. We've talked about the mobile and the gym apps that you can use. It's also fantastic for telehealth under the desktop function. So, because I think like since COVID, particularly for a lot of us, like telehealth is actually more and more of a thing. than what it used to be maybe prior to 2022. I think the only other one that I guess that I sort of like had a few questions on maybe is that obviously like when we did our little mock thing, I was very descriptive in terms of outlining a diagnosis, but I actually feel like Heidi can actually do a really good job of like guessing a diagnosis based on the assessment findings. Is that true, Yov? Or
So there's a bit of a fine line with that because the most important thing we got to remember is that Heidi is your admin assistant, right? It's an admin support tool at the moment, right? It's not here to take over your role, which is what obviously you've trained for and understood, studied for, which is clinical reasoning, clinical judgment, and all of your like planning of how you support this patient, right? So Heidi's never going to and shouldn't generate a diagnosis for you, right? Based on what it's heard. It's only inputting the information of what it has heard, right? So Josh obviously clearly mentioned, sorry, not Josh, Andy clearly mentioned that the diagnosis was subacromial impingement syndrome and there's possible rotator cuff involvement, right? Heidi wouldn't normally put any diagnosis in there based on the examination findings. Let's say if you didn't mention anything. So it's really important to remember that we're not a medical device, right? We're not listed on TGA for as a medical device. We're just a clinical admin support tool. So it's only going to be generating an output based on what it's heard or what has been provided.
Okay, well that's always good to know. Yeah. But guys, look, I also want to be mindful of time too because it's 1 p.m. I guess Sydney time. So we made use of this hour in I think a really, really productive way. Yeah, before I guess I'll let you go, mate. I guess if anyone wants to find out a little bit more about Heidi, how can they get in contact with you? How can they find out more about Heidi? What would you recommend as next steps?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously next steps is I would definitely recommend jumping on our website. We've got heaps of info and resources. We've got a pretty cool website there. So have a play around through there. You'll see what it's all about. You'll see the different subscriptions we have available. We do have a free tier, right? An unlimited free tier, which is completely free all the time, which is a really good way to, I guess, get introed into Heidi and how it all works. It is obviously the most basic version, right? You can't really customize any templates and you can't really generate any documents or use the Ask Heidi function. But it's there for you if you just sort of need a very basic type scribe. But obviously a lot of clinicians will tend to then jump onto a paid subscription because of the ability for you to customize templates as to how you want them to sound like and to look like. But also importantly, unlimited access, right, with regards to document generation and really making it your own, as I said, AI sort of assistant. So you really don't have to change anything. You set a template up, you click a button, it does it for you straight away. So, but always a really good entry point, as I said, is the free tier. There's free trials of the paid subscription. So I highly recommend having a go at those. And all the resources as well on our website are there for you when it comes to getting started. Templates, like what we call our Template Academy, which is sort of a resource there where you can understand how to build really amazing templates that suit exactly what you're after and everything else about the different features as well. So yeah, website is definitely the main thing to get more of an understanding. And if there's anyone else that has any other specific questions or need other support, then of course we're always around to help out. So just reach out.
That's so good. Now I guess the last thing probably I want to say, and I guess for anyone who is sort of sitting on the fence, is that yesterday I was fully booked in the afternoon. I finished clinic at 6 o'clock. At 6:01, my notes were done. I closed my laptop, I put it in my bag, and I went home. And I guess as a clinician, like, as busy as we always tend to be, with all the things that you have mentioned, like it does get a little bit tedious and it can sap you of your energy. It can and contribute to like some of the burnout and other things that we experience as clinicians. And I think I was actually, I think you might have emailed me one day about like the cumulative amount of hours that I had saved, as well as my team had saved, just utilizing Heidi in a clinical practice. And it's not a small number, guys. Like it really is. And it's like so to utilize these tools and be part of this next upcoming wave of the future, because it's going to be something that's going to be here to stay, and it can really improve like not just like the efficiency but the quality of your practice. I know Josh has seen my notes previously. They were dog crap. And with what this thing can, it's actually made my service a hell of a lot more professional, and it's something that really, really worth considering.
Absolutely. And even to speak to more so Siobhan's position as well, it allows for co-management so much more efficiently. Because half the time I see Andy stuff, it's like DNP as proof.
Yep. Previously, yeah,
Yeah,
that was
as proof, everything as proof. I'm like, okay, cool. What's previous? So to be able to then enhance your level of care across the team as well, while saving time, game changer. Absolute game changer.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's it for us guys. I think like, you know, it's 1:04. I think we've made real good use of the time. I need to eat. You need to eat.
We all need to eat.
We all need to eat.
And for everyone in this call, we'll email I guess a copy of Yoav's contact details. So if you want to email him or something like that, like yes, if that's okay with you, mate. Yeah. And so that way you can ask more questions and learn about how you can enhance your practice. But yeah, guys, otherwise, have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for your time as always. We'll catch you in the next one.
Catch you in the next one. Thanks, Yo. Thanks
for having me, guys. Thanks for jumping on. Take care.
Bye bye.